right? So,
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. I just missed.
no, Dhananjay, you haven't missed anything. I have just requested everyone to uh, open up the Pandas Notebook 4 from the website
Okay, okay, okay,
datascience.swinconsultants.com. Yeah,
okay.
nothing more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, friends, I think this time that we restart back on our Pandas Notebook 4. So, you successfully finished the first three sessions of the boot camp. This is the last session, the last notebook of the boot camp to finish it. So, we now have the energy. So, let's move on further. In this notebook, friends, will be looking at four things. You will be seeing three, but yes, we'll be looking at four things. Let me talk about three. I remember when we were in the first session, our friend Mansi asked us a very important question. How do I filter out duplicate values, or vice versa? How do I filter out the missing values? So we will be looking at how we can first handle missing values in this notebook. Many times our columns are not properly named, so we wish to rename them, and many times two or more data frames are given to you, and you wish to combine those data frames to make a single data frame out of them. So how do we combine two or more data frames, right? So we're going to look at this. When we look at combining of the data frames, we will come across two functions. One is simple, called concat. Another is a little complex, called join function. So we are going to basically be looking at missing values, how you rename columns, and how you combine data frames. So let's see this, going step by step. Now, it's a very obvious question which is asked usually in an interview. When we say that we are going to use some methods to handle missing values, the person, to be very honest, on the other side or the other end, is not interested, to be very honest, is not interested to know about that a function called fill na to fill a not available value. To be very honest, they're not interested to know whether you know these functions like fill or drop na, or a function called fill na. No, to be very honest, they don't expect this answer. They say it's okay. Drop na would drop all the rows of a particular column as nan. Fill na will fill the nan values with whatever you say it to be filled with. Say for example, if you say that a na value should be filled with 0, then wherever you have na values, not available values, they will get filled with 0. So this is okay. The question is, how do na values reach to your data set? Like deliberately, nobody is going to enter na. Yes, somebody could keep it blank, I understand. Keeping blank is different, and having NaN is different. So nobody is going to actually deliberately put a NaN value in your data set or in an Excel sheet or in a CSV file. Blank is okay, but blank is not Na. Please, blank is different, Na is different. So we need to first get this point clear of how any values will ever reach to me. Have a look at this example. What I've done here is I have made a data frame out of these values 700, W300, 500, and I900. I can very clearly see that I've got some four values here, out of which W300 and I900 don't seem to be numeric values. They don't seem to be proper numbers. So it is but natural. If I apply a function called pandas.numeric with the very humble intention to convert all these values into numeric, my intention is very humble. I want to convert these values into numeric. And therefore, I have supplied the entire data frame values. But while converting these values into numeric, I'm sure all of you will agree that W300 and I900 will fail. That means we will not be able to convert them into rhombus. Now there is an option into numeric function called errors. To this parameter you can give two different values. I'm not discussing them because that will take us off track. So but most of the times we keep errors is equal to course. So if we keep errors equal to course, it means that whichever point we are not able to convert to numeric, we replace those error values by NaN. I repeat, those values which cannot get converted into numeric are replaced by NaN. Instead of reporting an error, they are replaced by NaN. Have a look here. When I ran my very first code, I get the following output. 700 could get properly converted to number because it was a number. But the second position and the fourth position didn't get converted. Instead, I can see my answer is not a number, which very clearly teaches me one thing, that due to this option called errors equal to course, I'm sure you will be wondering that what if I don't keep errors equal to course? I would appreciate you running the code and checking that if you don't keep errors equal to course and do, you are going to get a value error. Because toNumeric function cannot convert W300 into a number, so he fails and therefore he reports a failure error or a value error. So if you don't want these value errors, you want to overcome these value errors and replace the value wherever error comes with NaN, then you should give the second parameter as an option, which is very commonly done. So we get NaN values. This is the reason we get NaN values in our data set. So the primary reason of we getting NaN values, so I'll frame the question as how does NaN values reach to your data set? Because I don't think so as a human operator anybody will sit back and enter NaN. He can keep it blank. He can enter some nonsense. He can enter some zero. I can appreciate. So somebody saying that in a school database there was a column called name, then there was a column called age, then there was a column called subject marks, let's say mark 1, mark 2, so on and so forth. Some data entry operator was entering, he entered ASD as the name of the first student, then he entered his age as 12 years, he entered his mark of first subject out of 100 as 87. Second, student DEF, he entered the age mistakenly as minus 13 years. Now, how can somebody assume minus 13 years? So it's a typo error. See, this kind of typo error is possible. This I can understand. This is a typo error. This I don't, I will not be surprised if there is a typing error that has happened by a data entry operator. It's quite possible. This can happen for age, happen for marks or whatever. It can happen for any entry which you make. But this is very hard to believe that for a student called XYZ, you have entered an age like NaN. I am very doubtful. Anybody will do this. Therefore, this is not at least a typo error, 100%. This value has not come because of typing mistake. This value would have come here because of some conversion or some processing which you would have done. So some kind of transformation you have done. So most of the times NaN actually reaches to your database due to transformation errors, due to conversion errors. So due to transformation or conversion errors, we usually get this problem of NaN. Okay, as we have listed in the very first example of notebook. Okay, right. So I hope this question goes answered. More important than this is the intuition which I'm trying to create in your mind. Right. Now, How do you fill? Okay, so super simple to fill. You need to use a function called fill NA. Give me the value by which you want to fill. Most of the times it is quite common to fill a numeric value for which you have absolute no idea. You will fill it with 0. But if you think you have an idea, you can fill it with the mean price of that respective column. Example, you knew that 700 and 500 are cost of some particular type of product, and for these two products no cost has been given. There is one way to think it. Because all the four products are of the same variety, let's say all the four products are expensive Parker pens. All the four products are expensive Parker pens. One pen is costing rupees 700, other is costing rupees 500. For two, you don't know what is the cost of the pen. So you can approximate and keep it as an average. So 700 and 500 average is rupees 600. So you fill the rest two entries by 600. It's quite a possibility. So in cases where we can use common sense to fill the values, there I don't think you should go ahead by filling it with 0. But where our common sense or domain knowledge cannot help us, there, yes, to be safe, you can fill it with a 0, right? I want all of you to please run the very first two cells of this notebook number 4. I'm holding on. Take your time and run. First two cells of the notebook number 4. Okay, so that's a majority who says that they have done with this. Wow, fantastic. Still I'm going to wait for 30 seconds more. And people who have done, I am expecting them to explain. I repeat, I'm expecting them to explain these two equivalent codes. So if you're running the fill NA function over the data frame, then everything in the data frame where there is a NA, it will get replaced by a 0. And what fill NA can do, you can also do it by using the replace function. So I want one of you to come ahead on audio to explain me this part of the code. And for doing so, you're welcome to read this paragraph in your minds. I'm holding for 1 minute for somebody to come ahead.
Sir, may
Yes, yes, please. Yeah.
I? To fill NaN values from a column, use fill NA method over a column. We are using data frame DF, where we are providing data frame column,
Mm-hmm.
which is equal to data frame column name dot fill NA, and in bracket we are sending 0.
Mm-hmm.
In case you plan to replace all NaN in the entire data frame, apply fill NA over the data frame, or you can also use replace.
Mm-hmm.
Now in this data frame DF, we are using a dictionary value 1 where there is a list of values assigned,
Okay,
and value 2 is another key value where there is which is assigned with the list of values.
correct.
Now we have uh, two numeric function used, pd.toNumeric, which will convert these into numeric values.
Okay,
And we have
so
specified,
so
yeah,
Harshali, a quick question on this.
yeah.
The number 700 will easily get converted into. So the string 700 will easily get converted into a number 700. But what do you feel about the string ABC 300?
It will generate error, sir, because it's not a number value, so that's why it will generate an error.
Okay, and we are replacing
Yeah,
the error with.
we are replacing the error with NaN value, sir.
Correct. So when we say error is equal to course means suppressing. This
Yes.
English word means suppressing. So suppressing the error and you're keeping NaN instead of that. So if
Yeah.
I print my data line number 9, when I print my data frame here, I can very clearly notice that I have got NaN values. So there are lots of NaN values which has come in the entire data set. Okay, what is this replace function according to you doing?
This will replace this number values which are not an integer into 0. So
Mhm.
which wherever there is NaN, that will be replaced by 0.
Okay, that means in the new data frame, I should see NaN values replaced
Replaced.
by 0. Yeah, Harshali, Sashipal has asked a question. I don't know why this question is coming, but it's quite obvious. But could you answer?
Just a second.
Hmm.
I'm not a
You can see on my screen.
huh. When we will fill zeros to missing values, then what happens when multiplication of the column? Multiplication of the column will be 0 only.
Obviously, simple as that. So if you multiply anything with 0, answer is going to be 0. So Sashipal, I'm sorry, I don't find the question relevant. Okay. Right, so the next question that comes up here is how do you replace NaNs by preceding values in a pandas data frame? That means when you actually have uh, a pandas data frame, how do you go ahead filling the value? So there are two ways you can fill. One is forward fill, another is backward fill. I will do one of them, and the other one has to be tried by you. This is what is written here. I will be trying forward fill, and you all will be, after the boot camp, on yourself, self try, on yourself trying the backward fill. Just to give you a quick heads up on this, suppose I'm having the following values. I have 70, I have NaN, I have 60, and I have NaN. So forward fill means whatever is the value at the row number 0, it will fill that value in the row number 1. So as you move forward from 0th row to the nth row, your value filling will start. So this 70, this NaN in short, will get replaced will by 70. This NaN will get replaced by 60. This is called as a forward fill. Can anybody, not anybody, I think all of you, can all of you think quick and tell me what's going to be the case if you do a backward fill? Assuming that before a backward fill, let me give you first a value that the last value here is, let's say, 100. Then what do you think is going to be the backward fill looking like? So what will this value get replaced with? The first value, this NaN which I've cancelled, what is this going to get replaced with? 100. That's right. What about this NaN? What will this get replaced with? 60. That's right. Absolutely. So whatever, I repeat, whatever not NaN values you have, that will replace the NaN values. So a quick question on this: instead of the 60, suppose you have a blank cell here. There is no NaN. It is simply a blank cell. Then what do you think the 60 prior will become? Keep the rule as a rule. Remember the rule. The rule says whatever is the value here will replace this. It's not going to be 100. Sorry. No. No, no, no. I am again repeating, this is blank. This is not NaN. Your replacement is going to work only over NaN. So this is blank. So this will also become blank. Blank is also a data, it's not NaN. So usually We don't keep the cell as blank. That's called as data cleaning. You're doing a workshop for data analysis. There is lots of data cleaning that can also be done. So in data cleaning, we can actually remove all such blank cells and replace them with some particular value, or replace them with NaN. We replace the blank with NaN. So the forward fill and backward fill will naturally work. Okay, right. So moving on to this, I'm creating a data frame in front of you, and you can see purposefully I have kept lots of none values, none or NaN. Okay, both will get filled. So what I'm doing next is I print my data frame. Please have a careful look on the data frame. It's having lots of NaN values in between. See, 1, 2, so on and so forth. Sir, you gave none. I agree. I gave none. But understand that none, when I store it in a data frame, is going to become not a number, because a data frame understands that these are numbers. So it automatically tries to convert the none into a number and thereby puts a NaN there. So none and NaN are interchangeable things. You can be bindas on it. None and NaN are interchangeable. So fill NA is actually, in this case, using a forward fill. In place equal to true means that the data frame on which I'm working, I want to perform my fill operations over it itself directly. So I don't want to create a copy of the data frame. I want to work on the main data frame. That is the purpose of in place equal to true. And when I print the data frame, I can see that this 2 replaced this NaN value, so it became 2, and then whatever value 2 came here, it further replaced the next value, that is 2, which is over here. Okay, so Deepak has a question here. So if the last cell is NaN, then earlier cell will be filled with NaN using backward fill. No. So Deepak, you need to get this point clear, that forward fill and backward fills are always going to take the non-NaN values and they're going to use it for filling ahead. If it cannot be filled, it cannot be filled. So in certain cases, that, like you're trying to say, certain values will still remain NaN. They will not get filled. Okay, right. So you can try this example here right away by keeping the very first value as none. See what happened. Something happened, you can check it and let me know. Oh, what happened? I get the value as none. Oh. Sorry. Have a look, Deepak. So originally the value was none. Again, you will be wondering that why it has not got converted to NaN. Okay, I'll come to it. But let's get one thing clear. So the whole column is NaN or whole column is none. So nothing is there to fill, neither forward fill nor backward fill. And therefore the whole column still remains none. किसी के पास कुछ नहीं है देने के लिए, तो obviously कोई कुछ नहीं देगा. This is what is happening here. Now why did this whole column remain as none and didn't get converted to NaN? That's a different story, but then just to put it in short to the point, this entire column will be typecasted to a numeric if there was one numeric value in this. I repeat, this entire column would be casted to numeric. Casted means converted to numeric only if one value was numeric. Suppose if the last cell was 8, then I understand that this cell is 8. So what data frame does is he understands that this entire column is of type numeric and therefore is typecasting, means converting the none into a number, and he fails to convert it, so he gets a NaN, not a number. And you can notice here, Deepak, because we're doing forward fill, therefore nothing changes because there was no value before this NaN. As this guy is a very first person, so first person only is NaN So obviously it remains as it is. Okay. So I want you to please all try with this code and do try the example which Deepak also mentioned. I'm waiting for everyone to try with this forward fill. If forward fill is done, you should say FF done. Okay. So who would like to come to audio? You know, so all those people who have a very peaceful environment, they know there's no surrounding noise coming in. Who would like to come on audio and just help me to read this short paragraph here? You are confident that your voice is clear and you have no background noise. Please tell me who would like to come forward.
Good afternoon, sir. May
Yeah,
I?
yeah, good afternoon. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Oftentimes, data will come to us with column names, index names, or other naming conventions that we are not satisfied with. Use rename function, which lets you change index names and or column names. Rename specific columns. Use the df.rename function and refer the columns to be renamed. Not all the columns have to be renamed.
Correct. Not all the columns
The
have to be
syntax,
renamed. Yeah, yeah. So no, Vishmita, don't read the syntax. I have a small question now. When you read this very important point that not all the columns have to be renamed, that means that whichever column we wish to rename, Vishmita, those column names ideally should be given,
yes, sir.
right? Right? Perfect. Okay. So can you please tell
Yes.
me quickly on this example which you see here? Nothing has to be explained here. So this is a data frame which we have created. We have only one value given as the company name of mine, Swain, and I've given an index with range 3, which means there are 3 rows, as you could see, 0, 1, and 2.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Columns is a list A, B, C, D, E. So you see the 5 columns on the top. Now, my question to you is this, that I have got this data frame which is in front of you here. Please take 30 seconds with your presence of mind, peace of mind, and think and tell me what is this line of code going to do.
So if A is a column, then it will change to X, and if B is a column, it will change to Y.
Perfect. The column A is being renamed to capital X and the column B is renamed to capital Y. Why have I given axis equal to 1?
So it is column wise.
Perfect. Absolutely. So we are going to basically search for A column wise. We are going to search for B column wise. So the moment I run this code, I can notice the 2 columns, very good Vismita, the 2 columns A and B have got replaced as X and Y. Fantastic, very good. So I'm expecting everyone to please run this cell. I know in this cell I have given other combinations for your self reading or for self studying, that this is an older approach, this is another approach of doing it, but I'm teaching you the right, most common and the newer approach. So how many people have finished with rename should report on the group? Okay, so lots of people are saying rename done. Wow, great. Now, friends, I'm moving on to something called rename access. So we are altering the name of the index column. Usually, please understand, usually the index column is not having any name. You only see the index values there, 0, 1, 2, 3, or the country names as index, or probably employee numbers, or people's name. You don't have any name over it. Oh, so Rocky sir, are you trying to say we are going to give a name to the index column? No, not exactly. Please understand, you really cannot give a name to an index column. You can give an access. So we are renaming the access. It is better that we see it to understand what does rename access mean. It's a little difficult to explain like this without having a look. So rename access function is used to set the name of the access for the index or columns. Okay, patience, let's understand this. I'm making a new data frame. First column A holding 3 values. Second column B holding 3 values. I haven't given any index. So obviously the row indexes are going to be the default ones, namely 0, 1 and 2. This is your original data frame. Now tomorrow somebody gets up and tells you that, yeah, I want this column with the values 0, 1 and 2 to be named. I want these three columns 0, 1 and 2 to be named. Question mark. Big question mark here now. If you want these three columns to be named, this is a column, right? Normally in data frames you never see the index column having a title or a name over it. So here a simple rename will not work. You need to use rename access. So rename access is giving some name as numbers. When I did so and I printed my data frame, this is the kind of output I've got. Have a look. So the columns, sorry, the row indexes 0, 1, 2 have been named as numbers now. Okay, I move one small tiny step ahead. If I use rename access and supply access equal to columns, then I'm also giving a name to my column headings. Have a look at this. So my column headings A and B are being called as bar. For all those people who know or who are used to Excel, I'm sure that about 25-30% of the crowd here on my bootcamp right now is used to using Excel. In Excel, there is a very popular concept called pivot tables. So in pivot tables, you have this kind of an indexing where you have one level indexing for the columns, second level indexing for the row indexes, or in other words, this is a column axis and this numbers is the row axis. Okay, I hope this is getting clear. I request you please, all of you to please run this. Please run rename access, and if it is done, you should report to me rename access done, or simply you can say done. Great, that was quite quick and fantastic. Great. Now we're coming into a super important topic called combining. Let the best be kept for the last. So this is the best topic for the last, called combining. Friends, there are many times that you have to combine two or more data frames because all data does not comes to you in one single data frame. A quick example of it would be that if a school teacher is saying that I have all details of the students, their personal student details in one single table, and I have their academic details in another table, and the thing which links both of them together, the personal student database and the academic student database, the common column which links them together is probably the roll number of the student or the enrollment number of the student, because enrollment number of the student remains unique in an entire school or entire college or university. So this column can act as a common column between these two tables to link the records. So imagine this same situation coming to you across in Python. So there's a very clear-cut case that in Python you need to have some mechanism to combine or to join these two data frames. This has been loaded in, let's say, data frame df1. This is loaded in data frame, let's say, df2. So you need to have some mechanism to join these two data frames, and that's what we're going to see right now, how we can join two or more data frames. Of course, there should be some column common, or there should be something common. I'll not use the word column. There should be something common between the two which you want to join. You're not going to take two disjoint data sets and think of joining them. It doesn't make sense also. Okay, right now I'm requesting anyone who could please come forward to read this paragraph. Who would come forward to read this paragraph? Only take care of one condition: there should be no background noise coming from your audio, no TV and no shouting of people. So if you have peace of mind, please tell me. Okay, great. So Sukantu says he can, but Sukantu has taken his turn, right? So I'll give this turn to Surena B. Surena B, you can please take the turn.
Hi, sir.
Yes, yeah.
When performing operations on a dataset, we will sometimes need to combine different data frames and or series in non-trivial ways. Pandas, there are three core methods for doing this. In order of increasing complexity, these are concat, join, merge. Most of what merge can do can also be done more simply with join. So we will omit it and focus on the first two functions here. The simplest combining method is concat. Given a list of elements, this function will smush those elements together along an axis.
Correct. Smush means that it's going to just combine blindly. Concat will just combine. So if I give you two words, hello and world, how concat will just make one word, hello world. It's exactly the same way it works here as well. Okay, now because Sukantu also volunteered to answer, Sukantu, I would like to give you this turn. I would like to give you the turn of explaining the code instead of the reading part. So you also get your turn then in that case. But Sukantu, before you get onto your turn, I want you to take 30 seconds, peace of mind, to look at the code.
Okay, sir.
Mhm. The moment you're ready, you can start. Yeah, Sukantu. So can we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So here we have two data frame.
Okay.
Data frame DF1 and DF2.
No need to explain anything on that. People can see
Yes.
there are two data frames, DF1 and DF2. Perfect. Mhm.
Now the first thing is doing with the new data frame we are getting DF new DF1 is the new data frame where Panda concat DF1 and DF2. So
Mhm.
concatenating the two data frames DF1 and DF2, and default x is equal to 0. That means that we are the concatenation is happening column wise because x is equal to 0.
Correct,
And
correct, correct.
now fine. Now we are using the use dot reset underscore index to
This,
reset
yeah,
the
this Sukanto, what I will do is I will definitely we will discuss and understand this, but right now, let me cut this part out. Let me cut this
okay.
part out, and what we will show to the entire class as you're explaining. Have a look at this. So Sukanta, you told me that Why did I get a key error? Hold on. Oh my god. So yeah, so Kanto, this is your first data frame.
DF1.
Yeah, DF1, this one. This is your second data frame, DF2. Now,
Yeah.
what do you notice without reset index? What do you see has happened here?
So it has happened the concatenations of the two data frame column wise, where the 0 1 and that was the index of the first data frame, and another is the 0 1 of the second data frame. So both 0 1 0 1 it has added as it is, and in the first data frame A1 the letter is A and number is 1, letter is B number is 2. That with that, so letter C of number 3 and letter D of number 4 of data frame 2 that has been added. So it is a simple additions of the two data frame
So are we
column
trying to,
wise.
yeah, are you, it's not column, it is row wise actually.
Row wise, sorry.
Yeah. So do you notice that
Yes.
when the concatenation has happened, no brains was used by the concat function, and concat function simply took the two rows of the data frame df2 and like फेविकॉल का जोड़ होता है ना, बिल्कुल बस
Right.
वैसे चिपका दिया उसने
Yeah.
उसको बस
Yes.
df1
Yes.
and next df2. That's it.
Yeah.
So there
This
was
is like cut and paste.
cut and paste, simple, better words. Yes, that's it, cut and paste. So it makes very valid sense that we should add reset index. Now see the output with reset index, Kanto, and tell me what quick difference do you see with reset index?
So here that repetition has been that has been sorry.
Yeah, repetition didn't happen, and you saw the sequences increasing in a sequence, indexes
Right.
increasing in a sequence. Perfect.
Right.
Okay, can you, without any help, without looking into the code, can you quickly tell me what do you think would have happened here? Like, this is, what do you feel this is concating? In what way this is concating?
It is here it is again concatenating on the row wise, and these things that 0 0 1 AB, then again 0 1 CB, and again like these things.
So,
Letter
so
and numbers. It is it is in the row wise. It is adding
correct, absolutely. So adding in,
based
it's
on
adding in
column
row
wise.
wise. So when we are adding in row wise, the two columns just blindly came ahead and I got added up. Do you see
Right.
the problem of columns getting repeated? Like column name letter, letter here also, number here also. Do you see the column names getting repeated?
Right. Column same column number column the letter number this is repeating.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, huh? That is a big problem. Because you have a data frame now with two columns with the name letter. That means I really cannot use this anywhere.
Right.
Tomorrow if I want to use it for sorting or for shuffling, for creating a sample, oh my god, I can't do any operation of pandas. Forget machine learning, वो तो बहुत दूर की बात हो गई. You can't do anything much with this data frame because it is having two columns with the same name. I'm just bringing you to a problem state. Correct, which we will solve
Right.
as the time goes. Right, so I want everyone to please run the concat function code, please. Everyone. Within 2 minutes, everyone should be able to run it. Okay, right. So friends, I can clearly notice that a majority have finished. So before I move on, I have to just clear one core concept related to joins. So when you're joining two or more data frames at a time, only two data frames can be joined. We use this function called join. But before I actually step in the territory of using the join function, Get this Venn diagram very clear. It's a very basic, simple Venn diagram. Please get this clear. So we are having, let's say at this instant, we are having two tables or two data frames, and my data frames are, let me give them some simple names, L and R. So this is LDF, L data frame, and this is a R data frame, left data frame, right data frame. Okay. When you say that you want to perform a join operation on the data frame, then we are trying to say that, so when you talk about joining data from two or more data frames, the joining can be of these four varieties. I could have, in the simplest sense, a inner join, which is the most common. I could have a outer join, in which I have the option of left outer join, or the option of a right outer join, or simply said, I can have a outer join. And if I simply use the word outer, I mean to say I'm having a full outer join. So what are all options? I can have an inner join, left join, right join, and outer join. Let me ignore the word full for the time being. Otherwise, it may create confusion. Inner, left, right, outer. Simple. Now, if somebody says he wants inner join, then he is looking at the part which is only common between the two data frames. So only the record which is common in both the data frames. Suppose if the left data frame is having 10 records or 10 rows, right data frame is having 8 records or 8 rows, and what is common between the two is, what is common between both is a value 3. Then only 3 records would be seen if you take a inner join. Only 3 records would be seen if you take a inner join. Think a little bigger now. If you go in for taking a left join, then you would definitely see the output of inner. Left will always show you the output first of inner. With all due respect, inner has to come. Plus, I will take those extra records of the left table which were not entertained by inner. I'm sure you're smart enough to guess this. 10 minus 3 is 7. So 10 records are the ones, sorry, 3 records are the ones which is common to both, and 7 records are those which didn't match with the other table RDF, but then they were in LDF. So left means take what is common plus take what is left with you. I'm sure you guessed it, and you should be in a position to tell me yourself what will be the output for right. Obviously, right will also be inner plus. Come on, I'm sure you can answer. Come on, try. 3 plus what? 3 plus 5, that's right, absolutely, very good, very, very good. 3 plus 5, because the right data frame is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So 3 plus 5, that's right. Great. So right table means find what is common plus please take whatever is left with me. So 5 records are left for the right table, you take that also. Okay, what's outer? Outer is like very generous. He says I'll first take the 3 records which is common to both. Then I will take those records which is left over with the left table. Then I will take those records which is left over by the right table. Oh my god. That means you're going to take 3 plus 7 plus 5 records. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely correct. That's the way it's going to work. It will take first 3 common records, then 7, and then 5. That's the way outer works. Right? So inner, left, right, outer. These are basically some join types. Now, can I experience them in pandas? Of course. Why not? And we're going to see them right now. But more than I explaining, I would be happy if more of you should come forward to explain. That's more fun. So first, I have got my data frame. I have named my data frame as left and right. So the speaking also becomes easy. So my left data frame is having my column heading as A and B, and indexes given to the rows are K0, K1 and K2. In my other data frame, the right data frame, I have 2 columns. One is C, one is D, of course, which have no correlation with the columns A and B. That's okay. And I have indexes as K0, K2 and K3. Did you all quickly notice that 2 row indexes are matching? K0 and K0 is matching. K2 and K2 is matching. Sorry. K0, K0 matching. K2 and K2 is matching. That means if I ever were to join left and right, the normal join or the inner join should give me the commonalities between them. So K0, K2, K0, K2. Now let us look carefully how the join is happening. In pandas, the default is a left join clause. So when I do a simple join, I'm giving a left data frame whose name is left. I'm giving a right data frame whose name is right. When I do a simple join, the default join is left join clause. The default join is the left join clause. So the result is equal to so and so. I have mentioned here that whether you write it like this or my friends you write it like this is one and the same thing. आप ऐसे लिखिए या ऐसे लिखिए, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आप सोचोगे कि सेकंड पैरामीटर क्या है. सेकंड पैरामीटर हाउ बताता है कि जॉइन कैसे होना चाहिए. सो हमें जॉइन मेथड को बताने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है कि आपको लेफ्ट जॉइन करना है, क्योंकि जॉइन बाय डिफॉल्ट ही लेफ्ट जॉइन क्लॉज में काम करता है. ठीक है. सो ऑब्वियसली जब मैं लेफ्ट जॉइन लूंगा तो मैं एक्सपेक्ट करता हूं कि मुझे ऐसा आउटपुट आना चाहिए. प्लीज नोटिस कीजिए, ये फर्स्ट आउटपुट जो है नॉर्मल लेफ्ट डेटा फ्रेम का है. सेकेंड आउटपुट जो है वो नॉर्मल आपका सेकेंड डेटा फ्रेम राइट डेटा फ्रेम का है. लेफ्ट डेटा फ्रेम या राइट डेटा फ्रेम. और जैसे ही मैंने नॉर्मल ज्वाइन लिया दोनों के बीच में, तो आप रियलाइज करोगे कि पहले 2 रिकॉर्ड जो आए हैं K0 उसकी हर वैल्यू फिल्ड अप है, K2 उसकी भी हर वैल्यू फिल्ड अप है, लेकिन K1 क्यों आया? क्योंकि K1 is that record which is left out from the left table or the left data frame. जो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड डेटा फ्रेम है उसमें से जो रिकॉर्ड छूट गया है वो K1 है और वो आउटपुट पे यहाँ आ रहा है. लेकिन उसमें NaN वैल्यूज क्यों आ रही है? ऑब्वियसली बिकॉज राइट हैंड साइड डेटा फ्रेम के पास K1 इंडेक्स के लिए कोई वैल्यूज नहीं है, तो वो अपने आप से NaN से फिल हो जाती है. ओके. Now, in the way I explained for the left join clause, can you, one of you, come and explain me how this output is coming for inner? Who plans to explain. I want new people to come up, not people who have taken turns. Okay, Salman, first time you are answering. Very good. I'm happy. Please come on audio.
Hello.
Yes, Salman, please.
Yeah. When we are going to join two data frames by inner join, we can only get, or we will only get the common elements between them. Like K0 and K2 are common in both left and right.
Okay. In the very same direction, can you explain to me about outer also? I'm sure you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we are going to join them in outer method, we can have both the we can have common uh, common values like K0 and K2 are common here, and
Correct?
both the uncommon values K1 and K3 will also be a part of that.
Okay. Salman, just to add one question here, with respect to K1,
Yeah,
why is the value under the column C and D blank? Or that means NaN.
because because K1 does not have any value for C and D.
Correct. And why is the value for K3 row blank for A and B column?
Yeah, because K3 does not have a value for A and for B.
करेक्ट अब आपने इतना एक्सप्लेन कर दिया है सलमान तो आई एम वेरी श्योर यू कैन टेक इनिशिएटिव टू एक्सप्लेन हाउ इक्वल टू राइट आल्सो
Yeah, when we are going to join them with right method, we will have in our resulted data frame the common of both and the element that is uncommon from the right one. That is K3 in this case.
वेरी गुड सो फर्स्ट द कॉमनैलिटी पार्ट इज
K0,
कंटिन्यू कंटिन्यू
K0 and K2 are common in both, and K3 is uncommon but is present in the right data frame.
परफेक्ट परफेक्ट वेरी गुड सलमान appreciated very nice right good so friends I would request everyone to please run the example we just understood about inner outer left and right joins. Take your time comfortably. Once it is finished, say joins done on the chat. Very well. So I can see lots of people have done with joins. Now, I have a question here. What if our data frames had few matching column names? तो फिर क्या होगा? Very exciting and interesting case. So again, as I told you, joins is more fun to understand if you participate. It doesn't make sense speaking one way. So I would expect whoever wishes to come ahead to explain this example can go through the example, scan the example from their notebook and come forward. Okay, Shabnam has said she wants to. Shabnam, over to you.
Yes, sir. The question is what if our data frames have few matching columns? So we do have a first data frame where we have A and B with the data values A0, A1, A2, B0, B1, B2, and the index K0, K1, and K2. And our second data frame is also having A, but the data values for the column A is different. That is A4, A5, and A6, and the next column is D0, D2, and D3 with the index values K0, K2, and K3.
Okay.
So when we'll be having output here, first thing is we are applying a left join.
Mm-hmm.
So here the values, the columns which we are having in our first data frame and the second data frame are different, but the one column is same but with a different data value, that is A.
Correct.
And the key values which we are having as index values which we are having are also, some of them are same, but the K1 is not present in the second and K3 is not present in the first one.
Correct.
So hence, when we apply a left join here on the four data frames,
Mm-hmm.
so here we do have a L suffix and a R suffix, where we'll be having the common column in two with the two different names here, that is A suffix A left and the A right, that is from first data frame and from the second data frame,
So,
and
just
only
Shabnam,
which
Shabnam, I'm just interrupting you. Just a quick question to
yeah,
ask you. If I wouldn't have given suffix, then I would have got two columns, like A over here also and A over here
yes,
also.
yes, sir.
Correct, correct, correct. So this is because of the suffix, the left L suffix we have added. So anything which is coming from the left hand side table or left hand side data frame, you are concatenating it underscore left. Anything which is coming from the right hand side table, you are concatenating it underscore right. But
Yes,
this L suffix and R suffix, why was it not added to B and D?
because this A is the same column name here, which does exist in the both data frames, and B are the two different column names here.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
you are trying to tell me that only if the column name is common between the two tables, only then the L
and
suffix and R.
even the data values of A in the both data frames are different for the A.
No, that is immaterial. That is immaterial.
Mm.
Yeah, because when you're taking a join, Shabnam, you are taking it on the keys, no? K1, K2, K3.
Yes,
Yeah, so it is
yes,
immaterial whether what is the values contained in A here and A here, right? Yeah, very good.
yes.
Yeah, very good, Shabnam. Great. So I want everyone to please execute this example of L suffix and R suffix. Okay. Wow. Lots of people are saying that they have done with the example. So obviously, the question time comes, and joins is a chapter where the more you participate, the more you learn. Trust me. Otherwise, it's less of explaining. It's more of viewing and actually understanding with respect to joins. So let me see who can answer the very first question. Okay, let's say we have three data frames. Their shapes are what you can see on the board. And somebody says that he wants to merge the data frames, and this is what he gets in the result data frame. This is the I've given it for a hint. Now my question to you is that if this has been given, somebody says I just want to merge the data frames. He's not saying how he wants to merge it. While he wants to concat, he wants to join, nothing mentioned. Nothing mentioned. So I know it will result in a resultant so and so. Did you notice that all the three data frames are having exactly the same number of rows, 2656? But but the number of columns are differing from one to other. 246, 2412, 7025. The columns are differing. Okay. So I have given an answer to question number one here. I wish to ask all of you, is this theoretical answer to question number one also given to you in the collab notebook? Okay. So if it is given, the least I can expect from all of you is to read, understand, and explain it back to me. This is the least I can expect from you. So please do it. You have 1 minute to read this and interpret in your mind so you are ready with the explanation. Right. So who's ready to explain this? Come on, I just want a brief explanation. Yeah, 30 seconds का explanation मुझे चाहिए. Yes, Srinath. What about you? Are you ready to explain this in your own words?
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead, Srinath.
So here we are combining three data frames, D1, D2, D3,
Correct.
and we have given the axis equal to 1, which means we are combining them in column wise. Like the column will be getting added.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
what is
yeah.
this, what is the purpose of ignoring this? Like I didn't understand this.
Here actually I am also didn't get that point. Maybe it's to ignore the index of each data frame.
Okay. It could be that you want to ignore the index of each data frame. This is what you have told upon to me by using your common sense. Okay. Now let me check this code in front of you. Be online with me. Have a look at this. Okay. So now this is each student is expected to do. This is something which I have written so clearly means it is the part of your work. So I need not tell you about it. Okay, so import pandas as PD. I have got a data frame in which I've got values for A, values for B, something for C. Okay, another data frame df2, same column names A, B, and C. Internal values are different. That's okay. And there is one more column D also here. Okay, and there's third data frame also. Wow. So I'm concatenating all these three data frames. Let me for a minute forget about ignore index. Srinath, let me forget about ignore index for a minute. So what do I see here is first data frame, columns ABC, second data frame ABCD, and third data frame A and B.
Yep.
Now, if I keep the attribute ignore index as true, then I get something different. What difference do you see?
The column name has been converted to the by default column number, like 0, 1, 2.
Correct, absolutely. So the column names which are here like ABC, ABCD, and AB have been converted into numeric indexes, numeric column indexes going from 0 to n minus 1. Absolutely correct. That is what ignore index does. Ignore index doesn't place with the rows, ignore index plays with the columns. Why it is playing with the columns? Because you have written axis equal to
1.
Perfect. Right.
So if we change, if we don't give any axis value, then will that be changing? Like if
So
you have given any index, specified in index,
access
and
zero, no? Not
yeah,
giving access means access zero,
okay, yeah,
right? Access zero is default, so it's going to be row wise. As you could see, this is what is going to happen,
hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yep. So, so Srinath, could you also check for the class that is this code which I just now ran, is this there by mistake, by chance? I don't think so. It should be there. It shouldn't be there.
No,
That's right. Yeah, it
no, it is
shouldn't be.
not.
But if this is there, then nobody will do the above work which I've given. Perfect. It shouldn't be there. You're right. Okay. Now, this is what data frame has been given to us. We have been given a data frame as age of people 24, 20, 19. This is their favorite colors. This is their favorite food, height, score, state, and index. So, index indicates the name of those three people, Ankita, Hamad, and Eden. This data frame has been given to you. You can actually copy paste it from here. You can copy paste it and put it in your code cell, so it is going to run. So my point to all of you is, my question, not a question basically. So this is the data frame that is given to you, and you want this output. You want this output here. Can anybody? No, I'm not asking you to code. Can anybody quickly tell me which function have I used to bring the term called attributes here and the term called names here? Wow, that was quite quick. Salman, Akshay, Nisha, Gaba, that was quite quick. Wow, what did you had for lunch? So fast? Rename access, that's right. So rename access is the right method to use to give this kind of titles. So the first, there is a need to create the data frame that I mentioned. You can copy paste it. No worries, I will only give it to you. So what I'm doing here, I'm using rename access twice. First, rename access names. I have not mentioned any access parameter here. If you don't mention any access parameter here, normally by default these names will get applied over to your index call Ankita, Hamad, and Eden. This again you are applying rename in access and you are supplying attributes. But sir, you have already given rename access. That's right. I have already given name to the index. Then why am I giving this again? I'm giving this again, but I'm specifying access equal to columns. That means I'm naming the columns as attributes. So no wonder when I run this code, this is the way it looks. This is called as a pivot table. Or as a kind of a pivot table structure. Okay. So is there any part of this code given? Please let me know. Is there any part of the code given? Okay, DF is given now. Fantastic. That means I have to only give you the code for DF1. As you've understood the code, please go ahead to run it. Take your time. No hush hush. Well, friends, that's a majority which is saying that they have done it. Fantastic. Now look at this question. Rename the above data frame and get me the following output. Can you give me a guess of what is happening here? I don't want any code. I want the logic part of it. Logically, what do you think has been done here? Correct. Absolutely. There are two indexes which has been set here. The state and the color. Both are acting as indexes. Age, food, height, and score are in turn acting as the column headings. State and color both are acting as indexes. The question is, how do I set two indexes? I did mention it in the early morning hour when this question came up. That is very easy, but we'll talk at the right time. Time has come. I'm taking my original data frame df and I'm setting index two of them, state comma color. So two columns, state and color, both become as indexes. So naturally our df2 will look like this. Okay, I will not pass this code to you. I'm expecting you to please see it once and type it yourself. You have maximum 2 minutes to solve this. Okay, that's very well. So majority of you have finished with this example. So friends, we come into one more example of that variety. Can you see sharply? Please be very observant. Can you see very sharply what are we doing here? Like we have two indexes or three indexes here? Think. Exactly, Deepak. We have three indexes. But very surprising, no? That out of three indexes, we have named only two of them. One is unnamed. That's a beauty over here. Our original index. This is our original index. Ankita Hamad Eden. I don't want it. I don't want the names to come over it. I don't want any title to come over this. But the other two indexes which I'm adding, state and color, I do want title over it. So how do we do this? No, this is not complex. This is too simple. But before I get into this simple work, I want one of you to please come forward and read this comment for me because your answer is in this comment only. So who is going to come forward to read this? Who's going to come forward to read this? Okay, Deepak, over to you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. We are trying to keep three indexes now. Two at the headers and one at the original index.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are using an append is equal to
Right.
options as a set index.
To set index, yeah. So when we use the option append equal to true to the set index, as we have, as you can see, we have done here. What do you think exactly could be happening?
I think the original index that we have provided, that
Mhm.
is the state and color is appending to that.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Perfect answer. So, friends, as Deepak has very correctly explained, that when you write append equal to true, your original index remains the way it is. Nobody is touching it. Nobody is pushing it out. I am appending two more indexes. To append means to add, no? So you're appending two more indexes to what already exists, as very correctly also answered by Sagar and by Sashipan. So when you say append equal to true, that means जो है वो रहने दो और add कर दो. Okay? And when we ran this code, you can see you're getting the output as was expected. Now, if there is any code missing, then in that case, that be only these two lines of the code that could be probably missing. I'm passing it on to that. Moment this example is over, you can hint me by saying a done on the chat. Please take your time. There's no hush hush. Right. That's a majority who says that they have done. Wow. Great. So we move on to our next and the last question. And I would request Dhananjay to please take the lead to read this question. Dhananjay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notice how the original index has no name. You can use rename axis and pass it a list of the same length as the number of index levels, or renaming all indices.
So, Dhananjay, just to
Yeah.
emphasize on this fact, notice how the original index has no name. I'm referring to this question with respect to the previous output.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. So the output of the fourth question showed us that the original index had no name.
Correct.
So what now we want is we want the original index to have name, but states to have no name, and colors to have colors. So in this situation, we cannot choose that we will not give any name to this. So we will have to create a list of names where we will have to give name called none to this particular column so that this column's name disappears.
Remains blank.
Yeah. Can you take a lead to read this comment and explain this code?
Yeah. Remember, renaming multi-index data frames always specify a list. If you want to unname a column, then use none. So in short, we using the above. I mean, then this code is given. So in short, it wants to tell us that you have to give a list, and the list has to be in a sequence wherein the place where you don't want to rename it, you need to put it none, and that will be
Absolutely.
without the colons,
Absolutely.
commas.
Absolutely. Perfect. So
Right.
as you very correctly said, जिस कॉलम को हमको नाम नहीं देना है वहां पर आप नन लिख दीजिए, काम खत्म. Simple. Right. So friends, all of you, I'm sure, can type this code yourself. Please do it right away. And once it is done, you will punch as done over the chat. Okay, very well. So friends, as you could see, you have completed your trekking. The entire trekking journey, we started early morning today, 7:50 a.m. sharp. So at 3:40 p.m., we are coming to an end to our trekking journey. And I hope it was wonderful experience of how a boot camp happens with Swen Consultants. Uh, this is the way boot camp happens. You're like drilling into your coding for about 6 to 7 hours rigorously, so that you, in one go, you get a topic completely. You having to sit back on that topic for 3, 4, and 5 or 6 days, and that doesn't happen. So there are Netflixes and Amazon Primes and WhatsApp messages which keep on coming and breaking your sequence of learning. I know it is difficult for you all people to cut off from family and family responsibilities, that also on a Sunday, and I really appreciate that. Honestly, I appreciate that as a teacher, as a trainer, that you have been able to come in and maintain a 100% attendance for throughout the day. Now, please follow my other instructions also equally well. Now, what comes next? I'm going to, of course, share this file. Now, I do not know how, but don't leave it to me. In some way or the other, this file will reach to all of you. Please don't worry about it. Now, the next instruction that I'm just giving you verbally, please remember that these instructions which I'm telling you right now are going to come to you in complete detail in on the mail as well. Okay. But before I put down the instructions, I'll just like to mention a big thank you to all of you as well. Thank you to our learner coaches, Nisha Gaba and Kritika, for organizing this event and having all of us at one platform for conducting this. Thank you for all that stuff.